for this nice rainy morning. Look at that, the sun is trying to come out.
In 1 minute or so. Now,
Slippery walking there because.
Oh wow. It would have been awesome in a nice day. Did you see the pigs?
You'll have a fever.
Some of us are shopping already.
Pens. 1, 2, 3.
now the foundation of this city was laid back in 1036. And do you see there is a tapering tower, a conical tower down there with a golden finial? That way. Just at the other side of that there is a temple, and that was the first construction back in 1036. But it took 99 years for them to declare this place as their capital. We'll talk more about the history. Now, it had a blend of Hindu, Islamic, Jain and all type of people. That big building is a Hindu temple. This conical tower is a Hindu temple. And that building with a dome and a conical tower, that's a Jain temple. And Jainism is like one of the 4 religions which took birth in India. You can see there are in foothills, there are some ruins you can see which dates back to 14th century. You can take some pictures. And about of this, there is something very interesting I want to show you. Look at that little car down there, that purple car. This is the $2,000 car which was introduced by Tata Motors.
AJ? So back then, everybody would live inside the fort?
Within the wall.
Right.
Okay, please come this way. Come on. Okay, Ali.
Well, he tried. What is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14.
Wow.
Okay, Chief, I need to quickly have a quick word with you. I'm going to buy your entrance.
No photo.
Turned out to be a beautiful day. The Lion Gate. Look at this. It doesn't go straight in for reasons of security. Even back then, there were conscious of security. It's not easy visiting, but it's worth it. Well worth it. Wow. I'm so glad I came.
You can take pictures with the elephants roaming around. Then you can climb that platform from the path. Then you go to those scalloped arches at the other side. And through the arches, you will be able to see a Persian garden in the middle of the lake. There is hardly any water in the lake, but that garden is beautiful, geometrical patterns. After seeing that, we are meeting in that corner.
Oh my goodness. It's like a festival.
That's what happens to me every time I'm about to see it. Boom,
He
they're gone.
disappeared. Look at that one coming at a good speed. What happened to you? He was speeding up and then he stopped. Look at that. The walls keep going and going. The Great Wall of Jaipur. Ah, 1649. I don't know what it is, but there is an inscription. Oh my God, that's an amazing view. Look at this.
Aber bis die Elefantenposition da ist, ne?
Wow. I wonder why they all come up empty. Must be just as hard coming down. Back up, baby.
So this was built by the Muslims, is that right?
Well, if they said 1500s,
Or were they?
I'm giving you a very interesting episode I want to share with you, which not many guides or guidebooks talk about. We are talking about the present face of India and formation of the states. You know, I'm taking you back to a very important year in Indian history, 1947. Before 1947, what you look at India today was not exactly the same. It was very different. That time, half the country was under the direct control of British Crown and half the country was under 565 Maharaja states, 565 princely states. So when India got independent, the question was, is it one India getting independent or 565 India getting independent? Each Maharaja, they had their own judicial system, their own tax system, their own army. So they were kings of their land. And these kingdoms were not limited to one city. There were like, under a city there were few towns and under the town hundreds of villages. So that's how it used to be a large area. So how many India actually got independent? 565 brains were working there. So the political leaders, Nehru, Patel, Gandhi was not really politically involved, but he was there that time. Maulana Azad, all those people, they said we have to do something. We cannot run a country with 565 minds. We have to bring them on one platform. Otherwise, if there is some unrest, situation of unrest, they'll start to attack on each other and India will be fragmented. And their main focus was to keep this country united. So what did they do? They did a planning and they went to these Maharajas with a very humble approach to Maharaja. We want India to stay one country. We have seen so many years of attacks by Central Asians, by the British. So this is the time when we need to collectively work to keep this country united. And what we have come to is that there is nothing better than democracy to keep this country united. But if democracy is introduced, monarchy has to come down. They requested Maharajas for that. You have to surrender your powers, your excess wealth, and you have to sign an accession that yes, we agree to it. But the leaders, political leaders, Nehru, Patel and all. So they requested these Maharajas, but then they also said at the same time, these leaders, but why would you do this? And what are you getting in return? So they said, you are getting a privy purse. Have you heard this term? Privy purse. Privy stands for privileges. For example, this palace is not built today, it was built in 1589, hundreds of rooms. You need electricity for every room, every veranda, every corner. You need water. So like electricity will be subsidized. Water subsidized, maybe free. For example, if there is a court case going on, the king doesn't have to go to the court, but the court will come to his house. So these sort of special status, special privileges will be given. And purse, an annual guaranteed income. So they gave this offer and requested and stepped back. Now they wanted to see what exactly is happening. They waited, and for the surprise of these political leaders, what turned out they never imagined, never expected. 60 to 65% Maharajas said yes to it. You know why? Fighting for independence, their financial position was very weak. Some of them were not able to run their states. So they said this is better, like we should accept it. And this privy purse, the purse will be given as per the status of the kings. Like Jaipur was a mighty state, it will get like a few $1 million. Somebody a smaller state would get lesser. And this privy purse would be half by the next generation. Like if this present Maharaja is getting 10 million, his successor will get 5 million, then it will be 2.5 million. But by that time, they'll be developing their other sources of income. So 60 to 65% said yes. The leaders could not believe that. So they started this thing with those. They took all those who said yes and they left those alone who said no or who didn't say anything. And they continued. This entire process took place 6 years, 1949 to 1955. So 65% said yes, and that made the job of these Maharajas very, very easy. So in the second call, they were not like the first call. First they said, Maharaja, please come join us. And now they're saying, gentlemen, you are still invited. And if you are coming to join this campaign, the privy purse is still standing for you. But we are very sorry to say that if you are not joining us, we will be compelled, we will be forced to use army against you. Clear threat. Everybody surrendered. Everybody said yes, except the one. This was a mighty state from southern India called Hyderabad. Have you heard Hyderabad? That is a cyber city, IT city. You get these phone calls from India, you get it from Hyderabad. So India is like this. Where you see my ring, that is somewhere where Hyderabad is. So Nizam of Hyderabad, he was, just for your information, was the richest man on earth in early 20th century. Till 1890s, India was the only country where we used to mine diamonds. And those diamond mines did belong to this man, Nizam of Hyderabad. He was very powerful, very mighty. And he said, no, I'm not joining you. Rather, he has shown some intent that he wished to be declared as Southern Pakistan. That was not accepted. Army was sent. And this man had his personal private army of 30,000. So he said, send your army. I'll see what they do. And he had no clue what Indian army was that time. So when Indian army was sent, fourth day he was on his knees. He said, okay, spare my life. I join you. I join India. Provided you make me governor of my state. And that's how India came on one platform. But then to run such a large country, 3.3 million square kilometers, 350 million people, they could not run it like that. They had to do something more. So they divided the country into 28 states. 28 states based on their language, their geographical condition and their ethnicity. And 28 states were formed, and that's how the state of Rajasthan was formed. Otherwise, Rajasthan was a combination of 22 princely states. 22 states were there. These got united and it became one. It was never known as Rajasthan before this. Before this, it was known as Rajputana, land of the Rajputs. Now it is Rajasthan, land of the Rajas, land of the kings, because 22 kings joined hands, and Jaipur city became the capital of Rajasthan, and here I am standing in Jaipur with you all. How did you like this?
Interesting.
Parliament, which is how the government is run.
Yeah.
How many people, representatives
Now we have 29 states, few more states got formed, and 7 union territories, and there are 543 elected members from all those areas in Parliament. Parliament is the lower house, and in the upper house we have 776 members elected by the representatives. Those who are already representing. So that's how we have 776 members in the upper house and 543 members in the lower house in Parliament. So Jaipur. Now Jaipur is the second capital of the rulers of Amber. Amber was the first capital, formed back in 1036, declared capital in 1135. 14th century they built the fort upstairs, up on the hill, and then this wall was formed, what you have just seen. There is a beautiful wall, 19 kilometers, and this palace came in existence in 1589. So this is like almost 430 years old fort. Now, why do they call it fort? Because it is one way connected. So fort is actually the one on the top of the hill, and this was the residential palace. Amber was the first capital. It's a beautiful city, beautiful landscape. So why did they leave this place? Why did they have to go and build another city? And that too not very far, just 6 miles from here. There were 3 important reasons they had to do that. The first one was Amber, because of the mountains, Amber has become too cramped, and it was not possible for much expansion of the town. Their population was growing. For 700 years they were living in the same valley, and if people had to go at the other side of the walls, they were not safe. 1727, early 18th century was the period when India was going through its darkest hour. Mughal Empire was shaking. Marathas are the rulers from Mumbai area, Maharashtra. They were coming up like anything. They were all over the place in India. On top of this, 4 European powers were eyeing here in India. These were like Portuguese, Dutch, British and French. So during early 18th century. So that time Maharaja Jai Singh, he was thinking something different. He was a man with big commercial brain, and he said, I have to build something. So he was building the city of Jaipur for his people, but there was a second reason. Second reason, scarcity of water. They were not having enough water here. They needed water, so they built a few dams around the city. And third, and the most important reason why he shifted, Amber was serving as a trading post or a transit point for all the traders who were coming from Silk Route to India and those who were going from India to Silk Route. So since this place had no room for their own people, those traders started to get diverted more towards north, and he did not want it that. So he built the city of Jaipur, introduced 36 industries of different forms of arts and crafts, and New Jaipur came in existence. That's how Jaipur city was formed in 1727, and Jaipur represents the name of this mighty king, Jai Singh. Jai built Jaipur. Pur is a Hindu city, Bads are Islamic cities. So bringing you back to Jaipur here, where exactly are we sitting in this palace right now? We are in a very important and indispensable part of the palace, and this is known as Diwan-e-Aam. Diwan-e-Aam, D-I-W-A-N-E-A-A-M. Diwan-e-Aam. And Diwan-e-Aam is like a supreme court, where commonest of the common, poorest of the poor had an opportunity to come and place their grievance in front of the king in case their problems were not resolved in their local level. So that's where the platform you see, king would be sitting towards those 3 doors, all the officers and ministers as per their ranks and position, and common man would come and sit down here. But this is the maximum a common man can come. Beyond this, inside the residential areas, only family, friends and important people. But a commoner can maximum come here. This interesting area where you see lots of scalloped arches was, they call it Satais Kacheri, 27 courts. There are 27 officers related to different sections of administration used to sit into that. So there are like disputes of different levels, so they can be given to different people. Now we are standing, please remind me once we are inside. Right now we are standing on a water tank. This water tank starts from here till the middle, from here till this wall, and it is almost 20 feet deep. So we'll be talking about that also. Why I'm telling you this, it has some connection inside. So we are going to talk about that also. Ladies and gentlemen, one very important event I would like to discuss here, standing here. Amber has some connection with Agra. You know Mughal Empire. 1526, Babur came. I told you the story of Babur, the man who fought that 100,000 army. His grandson, Akbar, was the greatest of all the Mughals because he had a real secular approach towards all the religions. And see how secular he was. He had a Hindu wife, he had a Muslim wife, he had a Portuguese wife. But this is just like a coincidence. But he really was very tolerant to other religions. And his Hindu wife came from this place. Now this matrimonial alliance in Indian history is termed as the most shrewd matrimonial alliance. And they say if this marriage was not there, perhaps the course of Indian history could have gone in some different direction. So this is a very important wedding. Akbar getting married to the princess of the south. And then for 30 years, immediately after that, one of the kings, one of the prince of this place, he was appointed as the chief commander of imperial Mughal armies. That prince was Akbar's brother-in-law, his wife's brother. Now this alliance went on for 3 decades, and that mighty ruler was called Man Singh I. Man Singh, he was a very able soldier. Under his leadership, Akbar fought around 77 battles and he won 76. One was indecisive. And lots of wealth came. So that generally, how do they make these palaces? What is the income of these Maharajas? Agricultural taxes. That is the income. But here, along with agricultural taxes, they had, whenever they used to make campaigns, they used to bring lots of money back. That's how they were able to build such beautiful and grand palaces. But from a historian's point of view, or from an architecture's point of view, this was an era when the first time we see the fusion, the synthesis of Hindu and Islamic architecture. And I'm going to quickly show you the fusion of that. See, when you go to a Hindu place, a Hindu temple, a Hindu site, you never find these arches. Look at that arch there. You never see those arches. We always used to have beams and lintels like that, supported on the columns and brackets to strength, like that. Typical Hindu. When Islam came, it came with the arches like that. But the fusion came in the form of scalloped arches like this. Please come this side. I'll show you one more very beautiful. Is it getting boring? No? Please come this way. When we talk about Islamic architecture, Hindu architecture is all about depiction of life, representing our experiences. So you have animal figures, you have human figures and floral patterns. Lots of life is shown. And on the contrary, in Islam, life is never shown. No idols, no images. Islamic architecture is all about ornamentation, decorative elements, lots of geometrical patterns, symmetry in the buildings, perfect balance in the buildings, and floral. So that's how I'm going to show you a few examples. Hindu columns in Hindu palaces or Hindu temples, those who are going to South India, you are going to see. Hindu columns were either standing straight like an elephant foot, or like a squarish column, or like a banana tree. But when Islam came, we started to have the octagonal columns. See, octagonal and hexagonal columns started to appear. Geometry. The geometric Persian garden you saw down there. Indian gardens were originally very unorganized. Hindu garden meant floral, aromatic flowers. But when Islam came, they started to have the pergolas, splitways, geometrical patterns. That's what you have seen down there. But one of the most beautiful fusion, look at this facade. What a beautiful facade.
Right.
It looks very Iranian. Look how Iranian look it has got. But see who is sitting in the center. a Hindu god is sitting in middle of Persian patterns. This is perhaps the most beautiful fusion of Hindu and Islamic art. These paintings dates back to 1640s. It has been touched a couple of times, but not much. Most of the paints are original. You see the facade is a little faded in comparison to the arches, because the arches have been like, it has never, rainwater and sun never touched that. But outside it has seen strong sun and rain.
Yeah.
But look at the colors, how vibrant and vivid these colors are from 1640s. You see there are some screens, marble screens up there.
Right.
When those meetings used to take place, women, they were mainly in the parda, in the curtains, so they used to sit behind the screens. And from there, they would see outside without being seen themselves. But when the kings are coming back after wars, battles or journeys, when they enter from here, the queens would be showering rose petals and welcoming them inside. So that's how the life was.
Yeah, look how much more vibrant the colors are in here. Because they are protected from the elements.
Stone mineral colors and natural vegetable dyes 350 years ago. Real gold, vegetable dyes and stone mineral colors. Yes, marbles are sure. Okay. No. You are little close. This was a wonder plaster being invited by the masons of this house back in those days. The base material is lime stucco, and they mixed marble slurry, marble powder, and crushed eggshells and seashells. And it has never been restored. It is original from 1640.
That's why it has that beautiful sheen, huh?
Yeah. Okay, please come this way.
Beautiful.
Pay attention to the beautiful part of the palace of Amber Fort. We call it Sheesh Mahal. You know the term Mahal? Taj Mahal, the crown palace. Hawa Mahal, wind palace. Jal Mahal, water palace. Sheesh Mahal. Sheesh comes from the word Shisha, and Shisha here is mirror. So this is the mirror palace, the main residence of the Maharaja, and a part of that, it is also the place where they used to have the private meetings. I tell you, in the palaces of these kings, Hindu or Islamic, two sections are always there. Diwan-e-Aam, what we saw outside, and Diwan-e-Khas. Aam is public, Khas is private. So this is where the Maharajas, they used to undertake the important discussions with the ministers, nobles, state affairs were discussed here. And when these private meetings were going on, security was at its highest. Not a bird can fly from that area. And this is how they used to keep it very, very close and secret. Ladies and gentlemen, this Hall of Mirrors or Sheesh Mahal is the largest hall of mirrors in India, and this is second only to the one in Versailles in France. But there you have those larger mirrors, oval, round, square, rectangular. Here, every time a small mirror has been individually cut, shaped, patterned, and then they have done these. It is believed that 1100 artisans worked over a period of 4.5 years, and using almost 1 million mirror pieces, they created this Hall of Mirrors. Take one pattern of your choice, any pattern, and try to look at those mirrors carefully and see how beautifully the edges are made and how every single mirror has been given such work, time, concentration, skill at its best. Once a pattern was complete, they bordered it with real gold. This is the gold border that you see here. So this is, they also call it Jai Mandir, Hall of Victory, where Maharaja lived. It's in 2 floors. The lower floor has got 2 bedrooms, one here, one at the other side, a couple of hallways, and this corridor. And there is another level up there where there are 2 bedrooms and a hallway. Well, so they say stones can make the buildings, but fabrics makes it look beautiful. Marble, everywhere. But look at top, there are some hooks outside there. So they used to have those silk drapes and curtains here. And a part of that is entirely it was carpeted. Those huge carpets that you saw in the City Palace Museum, those were here. 1625 is the year I told you. That time Jaipur was not there. Jaipur came 102 years later. So those beautiful 57 feet long carpets were actually here. Now, pardon?
Wow.
Now I'm taking you in the center part to show you one more thing. Polished with mercury.
That's it, it's gonna stay here.
Stay.
A pink addition to the number 4.
So I'm saying first listen, you'll be having time for pictures later on easily. Okay, now we are inside here. Look at this. That particular room is overlooking the Persian Garden at the other side. The same garden that you saw from outside. So these were the living rooms. Dancers used to perform. And in the evening they used to light lamps, candles by the wall. And that reflection would be seen in every single mirror. That's how it used to twinkle in every single mirror. Now, another thing, look at the color of the mirrors. Look at the color of the mirrors. And look at the sky outside. It's in sync. Same color. In the evening when it is orangish, even the color of that becomes, because it gets reflected from the ground. So the color of the mirrors change with the as the day progresses. Then all the black work that you see here, this is onyx inlaid in white marble. And look at the carvings. 470 flower pots in total. You cannot match 2 plants or 2 pots. Each is individually done by a different artist. All of these. The most beautiful thing is look at these colorful panels. The colorful panels. They say originally these panels had real gemstones. But the family has taken them with them once they shifted. But they still got them replaced with Murano glasses from Italy.
Lovely to come here at night. They should do that, have a demonstration of a girl dancing under candlelight.
Looking like the galaxy of a star. So that's why this is known as Ambar. Ambar means sky. Okay? So that is a unique in all over the world. You can't see anything. Only one line. Every side is there. And when sparkle look, it's a sparkle like this. So this is the big attraction. Okay?
Oh, that's smart. Thank you. I don't know if it came through, but it was like twinkling stars. Oh, that was so cute. That's adorable. It's very, very beautiful. I'm so glad the weather turned out so nice. Amazing place. I love those little balconies.
One man.
You don't mind?
Of course not.
I think I will hit the ladies' room. I know I don't need it now, but I'm going to. Let me stop again.
See the big cooking
The
pots.
tunnel goes to the fort.
The tunnel.
Way to the tunnel. Wow. This is a nice courtyard. Look how interesting this is.
It's interesting because we have a temple with all the gods in it. People does the facials on most of these women and their daughters.
Oh, look at that. So this is a water storage tank that you're selling us. Yes. Oh my God, it must be huge. Wow.
Inside is a mall.
I know. I'm tired though.
I know that you walk a lot.
It's beautiful. I wish I was strong enough to be a group leader. Look at that.
Obstacles, okay, yeah.
Okay. Hi, you're so beautiful. These are the old ruins. See back there? And this is the old palace. Like 1,000 years old.
I feel like it should look like that.
Yeah, look at the monkeys. Good life.
Charge me coming up here.
King of the world. Look at the colorful turbans. I guess, yeah. That was a wonderful visit. So we are going to the moon gate. We have to walk the gauntlet. Look at this sea of cars. So these are the mountains that prevented the Amber from expanding, and they had to move to Jaipur. I'm glad I was able to see a little bit.